I'm sitting here with none other than K. Rino, the legendary K. Rino of the SPC. Salute to all the SPC members and everybody that's affiliated with the SPC. Man, I consider this an honor and a pleasure. And I'm not too big-headed enough to say, man, I'm most definitely a fan of K. Rino and the work that he's done, and what he's been spitting. How's everything, man?
Man, blessed, man. Can't complain. It's an honor to be in your presence. Glad to be here doing what we do, man.
Man, congratulations to you for your show that you got popping, man.
Yeah, man. Actually, man, the man who made it all possible outside of God himself, he's over to our right. He's off camera, just laying in the cut, Big Don.
What's up, Don?
The new program director for KPFT. So, yeah, it was a different situation. Big brother Brian Muhammad had contacted me and said that brother was interested in maybe bringing me on and doing the show. And at first I was like, nah, because I just didn't know if I would have a format in my mind to actually do it. But then I thought about it for a couple of days and I was like, you know what, man, it's time. I'm ready. I'm ready to go ahead and make that step. So, just gratefully, Big brother opened that door for me and was able to give me that opportunity. So here I am. We getting ready to bring the heat straight up.
Smash the game.
No question.
No, that's 100 what you did, bro. Just pull your brother up, man. Because sometimes we don't do that when we get in positions, man. So that's real. I got mad respect for that. Thank you. Real, man. This is a question right here, man. I listened at the song "Listen Up," man. I wanted to ask you in person. What did you mean when you said, "How can you wake up if you don't know you sleep?"
Well, what that simply means is that, is speaking in terms with black people in general, from being brought over here on the slave ships, we've been brought over here, we've been over here 460 plus years, and everything that we had when we were in Africa, from our language, religion, culture, all that was stripped from us by the oppressors that brought us over here on those ships. So in that time frame, we have kind of acclimated ourselves mentally to Western civilization, Western ways, and Western traditions, and it's kind of become who we are. And we've lost total contact with our history and who we were before we got over here. So when you have those conversations with people and you try to teach them their history, they don't accept it because they don't feel that connection to it. So I say, well, it's hard for an individual to wake up when they don't even know that they sleep.
Wow.
They don't even accept the fact that that information has been erased from their memory.
That's
so
a
that's what
term,
that
man. I felt you on that. I had to get at your body. What inspired you to begin rapping, man?
Man, I was just like everybody else, man. I grew up listening to the old school cats, the Sugar Hill Gangs, the Curtis Blows, the Run DMC, all that type of stuff at late 70s, early 80s. That was my thing, and I knew all the words, the rappers did like and all that. So by the time I got to be about 13 years old, I started trying my hand and writing my own. And I wrote my first rap at 13. I had my first battle at 14 in middle school, and luckily I won the battle. I didn't have a one rhyme, and that one rhyme was enough to win it that day. If I would have had to go another round, I'd have been in trouble. But that's what did. I fell in love with it, man. I've been doing it ever since.
Man, what is your creative process, man? Do you start with like a track? I know some artists might, start with a track, put a beat on, that might inspire them.
Yeah.
Or somebody get an idea or a concept for a song. How do you approach it?
Either way, it goes both ways because you never know how the inspiration is gonna hit you, man. You can be sitting on the toilet and get a good idea, and then you say, okay, you don't have a beat yet, so you just start jotting down the notes and start writing down the concepts and laying out the words, and then eventually you'll find a track that fits those words. But then on the flip side, there's other times where, man, somebody just play you a dope beat, you hear a beat, and the song writes itself because you hear the track and you're like, man, that sounds like a story. That sounds like some lyrical type music. So you just basically break it down. It could come from either way. Track first, concept first. I accept it either way.
Either way.
Yes, sir.
Man, let me ask you this. Is there a difference between rapping and rhyming? And what I mean by the question is that some guys just have the ability to just rap, just to rhyme. But rapping, oftentimes from my perspective has a message in the music.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's an evolution process. I mean, when you first start off, you just rapping, you just writing. You know, you're trying to make sure all the words rhyme. But as you mature as an individual, you know, you grow up as a man, as a woman, your content should mature with you, and your message should change based on whatever it is belief system you subscribe to, whatever your experiences was. You know, that's why you got cats who might have been in the dope game. They rap about their lifestyle. That's what they knew. And then you got people that might have just been political activists. They was involved in activism. They write about that. That's why you'll have a Scarface, but you'll also have a Public Enemy. You know, it's all different types of dynamics, and that's the beauty of the art form, is that you speak based on your own experiences. You know, only the studio gangsters rap about gangster life they didn't live. Only the fake political activists talk about being a part of the struggle when they really not. So it's just a process, man. And when you find yourself, because every artist has to find themselves. I can't find myself when I'm just starting. I'm 16, 17 years old. I haven't even lived life enough yet. So you give people a chance to kind of grow in who they are as an artist, and then once you reach that point, the bell rings in your mind, and like, okay, this is who I am. That's me.
What separates, in your view or your perspective, what separates the underground rappers from the commercialized rappers? You just segued into that with that, but that was a good segue into that.
What separates it is the freedom, the control. See, when you are a mainstream artist and you're signed to what they call a major label, there's so many stipulations and strings attached to being on that label. There's so much things that are involved in that contract that you don't necessarily take into account before signing that deal. So there's a level of control and power that they have over you, because once you complete a project, you have to turn it in. You have to submit that project to those label heads, and they will determine whether or not, if this is something we want to put out. They say, well, okay, we like this song. Okay, we're going to take this one off. And then they start to tamper with your creative control. Now, as an underground artist, you start your own label, you're independent, you in control of everything you do, and nobody's telling you what you can and cannot say, what you can and cannot release. You have that freedom. So that's the biggest difference to me. But one of the main keys of being independent is that, for me, it taught me the business side of it the hard way, you know, because I didn't have to get messed over by a major label in order to learn the business. I learned it just going through it hands-on, trial and error, made a lot of mistakes, tricked off a lot of money, whatever the case may be. But I was always able to look in the mirror, because I always knew that nobody was behind me in the shadows telling me what I could and can't do.
Real talk. Man, what inspired you to start the SPC? I know you probably heard this 1,000 times, but for those who may not know the reason why or what inspired you to start it, man? You know, just a lot of brothers
because in South Park, man, we hated each other, man. You know, right in our own hood, man. You talk about me and Ganksta, Nip, Klondike Cat, nah, man. We went to different schools, but we clashed every time we saw each other. We couldn't stand each other. And
I mean, did it lead to any type of like physical thing? Or
nah, it got close. No, it never got physical. Okay. It got close. We were so immersed in trying to prove our supremacy over each other.
Lyrically. That's what's up.
That kind of overrode any physical aspects of it. But we was mad enough to get there on a couple of pages. and my thing was, I wanted to kind of create an organization that would kind of bring all of us together. And I started the South Park Coalition in my school. I was at Sterling, and I had all my homies, all my partners. And eventually, man, we just reached out, because me and them had a battle. We had a big battle, man, that took place. We call it the battleground, because he went to Jones, I went to Sterling, and neither one of us were going to go to each other's school. So we met in the middle. And we had this big battle, man, and we was out there like hours just going back and forth. So everybody was like, man, now, we don't know, man. Y'all go another round. It's a tie. They just wanted to see us keep going. But at the end of the day, it just developed a mutual respect for each other, man. And then once I brought Nip in, then he brought all his people in. So that's how the SBC got strong.
Now, check this out. I know, I'm gonna ask you this question, man. Who do you listen to? Like, who's your favorite rapper, man? Who you jamming to?
My favorite rapper of all time is KRS-One. That's my dude. You know, I started off, you know, as Run DMC. If you say anything about Run DMC, I'll pull a pistol out back in the day. But when I heard KRS-One for the first time, man, I couldn't believe I had never heard nobody rap like that. And the song he had called Poetry, man, my body was here, but my head was on in the corner over there, man. He blew me away because I had never heard nobody rap like that. But KRS-One is my all-time favorite. Of course, you know, I like Rakim, Big Daddy Kane's. I'm all over the place, man, because I'll be jamming Rakim one day, and the next day I'm listening to Too Short. And the next day I'm listening to Big Daddy Kane and Scarface. And so just, you don't necessarily have to just be a pure lyricist for me to just like it. You just have to be skillful in whatever category of rap you hear. Yeah.
Now, I listened at the song The Best Ever. I got the point in it, loved it.
Yeah.
Who the best ever?
Man, that's hard. Just like the song says.
Yeah.
Because the criteria is so diverse, man. Before you can even say who the best is, you have to lay out categories and say, well, man, we talking about best lyricist, we talking about best delivery, best voice, best flow, who sold the most. It's all kind of things that would come up in that argument. Mm-hmm. Because you had an argument all the time and say, man, this guy, nobody's better than Black Thought. Then a dude will come in and say, well, this dude sold more records, he ain't sold more records, because they judge it off of that. So I mean, it's an impossible question to answer, man, and it's generational. Because if we sitting in here, I'm 47, I don't know how old you are. 40 years old, okay. If we have this conversation and say who's the best ever, we may say somebody from our era. But if it's an 18, 20-year-old sitting here, he gonna say somebody we probably never heard of before because he's basing it on his generation and who he listens to. You know, so I mean, that's an argument that you'll never get a definitive answer to.
What is your favorite rap album?
Criminal Minded by KRS-One.
Criminal Minded.
Yeah, hands down. That's the greatest rap album to me. You know that have ever been released, man. And it came out in like '87. And this is how you know when you love a project. Like this 2018, I can recite that pretty much that whole. If you let it play right now, I can go years without hearing it. I can recite all the words of the song like they just came out. And I don't even know my own songs like that.
Shout out to KRS-One, man.
No question.
Dope. Who's your favorite new school rapper? I know you mentioned like Rakim, KRS-One, Too Short.
I don't listen to a lot of them, man, but it's a lot of my respect. You know, J. Cole is dope.
Excuse me.
You know, Kendrick is dope. You know, but I just don't listen a lot to them, man. But a lot of those guys really can rap, man.
Yeah.
Maybe I can shake it and get some out of it.
Man, this is a question I had to ask you. I'm really sure I wrote this down so I can ask you this one. How were you able to maintain your integrity, your drive, your consciousness, and your message in the constant state of T-Rag rappers?
I mean, it come with that growth, man. I mean, for me, I grew into a point where it was about the music. Then when my message, my life message, started to take over, and I started trying to live my life message, I understood that the music was only a platform to relay the message. Wow. The message is bigger than the music. So that was my gift. So as long as I stay rooted in the message, then I'll continue to have the motivation, continue to have the drive, and the passion to keep putting it out, because I'm basing it off of the condition of the people. So if I can look at the people and say, well, man, I need to write a song about that, that's messed up, you know.
That's
As
all.
long as those elements are in place. And it don't always have to be negative stuff, you know, the negative stuff kind of, but it's a lot of positive things that happen that you can write about too that, you know, can inspire people the same way.
Was that ever any temptation to go T-Rash rappers on like, cause the beat was there when I heard that one, I like,
Yeah,
man,
I mean,
the beat was going in.
It wasn't no temptation. It's just the fact that you go through stages. When I was 16, 17 years old, I was trying to get on just like everybody else. I was sending demo tapes off to record labels and trying to be like LL and all that. You know, that's just the stage that I was in. But, you know, my understanding of the industry grew as I got older. And then I reached a point where I was like,
Come up here.
this industry, this game is dirty. I don't even know if I want to be part of it on that level, up there with them. So then I just say, you know what? I'm gonna stay like I am, stay independent, stay doing me, and I'm good.
That's real talk. Man, with radio and TV raising kids right now, what do you think what artists can do to help change the direction that the youth is going?
Well, I mean, the parents have to raise the children. You know, the community have to get involved. You know, everybody uses that term, it takes a village, and that's a fact. If we, as parents, get so lazy that we just say, hey man, go in there and watch TV, leave it alone.
Right.
You know, and you set the thing up and just stick your child in front of it, then that's what's gonna happen. And eventually they'll watch the little innocent stuff at first, but then eventually they'll be left to their own devices. And you know, these days every youngster got a phone, they got a computer, they got access to the internet, and they'll start falling and the wrong things start falling in their hands. But at the end of the day, man, we have to be the ones to grab our children and say, hey man, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go out here and we're gonna go out and feed the homeless today. I wanna take you through this experience. We wanna show you how, you know, teach them skills. Same what you doing with your son right now. You know, you gotta like, he's starting them off slow, you gotta start them early and observe them to let them find what their gift is and then help cultivate it from there.
And what do you think we can do about mass incarceration, man? Because, you know, a lot of brothers get locked up, have difficult times finding employment.
Yeah.
The criminal histories they made with the criminal histories, man, see what we can find. What can we do to, I guess, mitigate or eradicate mass incarceration?
Yeah, well, you know, they have what's called school to prison pipeline. And it's not an accident. They set up the schools, which are killing fields, and the schools are set up and they can look at a class of 30 students and project what percentage of those students are going to end up being incarcerated at some point. And they build prisons far in advance. So we have to take it on ourselves again as parents and as leaders in the community to grab a hold of those children and teach them who they are and also teach them the intricate design of how this system was set up. So they'll know, look, there's a trap set for you.
Man.
Are you gonna fall in that trap? And we have to make sure we protect them from that. And if we take it on ourselves to make sure that we are not participating in that kind of ignorance, then they can build as many prisons as they want to. We won't be the ones filling them up. You know, everybody knows the disproportionate numbers of black people that are incarcerated in comparison to the total population of black people in the United States of America. You know, you're talking about a group of people who make up 13% of the total population, but make up almost 50% of those incarcerated. So that's not an accident. That doesn't mean that, oh, black people, we just so messed up and so evil. Nah, man, that was designed that way because it's money in prisons, you know, and everybody's trying to make sure that they keep that money funneling through, and who better to benefit off of than the former slaves, which is us.
Do you feel that mass incarceration is a depopulation tactic and or tool to, I guess, eradicate our folks?
Yes, it's part of it. It's only one component of it. You know, mass incarceration is a component of the depopulation technique because you know, people go to jail, they lose their lives in jail, they lose their minds in jail. Some brothers lose their manhood in jail. Some sisters lose their womanhood in jail. So if an individual loses his manhood, then that's a blow to the population as it is as far as reproduction.
Well done.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, that's one component, one department of the total. They have other ways of depopulation through chemicals and the supplying of weapons and drugs in the community. But all that ties into it, because if they're giving us guns, the individual who is a victim of the gunshot, he's dead, and the individual who has used the gun and pulled the trigger, he's in prison. So it all ties in together.
What you think about the use of like criminal records, man, to use those criminal records to deny African Americans job opportunities, man? What you think about that?
It's all part of the design. It's all part of the design, you know. Prison is always, the lie that they have always told about prison is that it's a place of reform. Prison ain't reforming nobody. They say Texas Department of what? Corrections. Who's getting corrected in prison? You know, I heard Pimp C say he can learn more about how to be a criminal when he got to jail than he knew before he ever went to jail. So nobody's getting corrected or reformed in prison. They just send you there. They throw you into the dogs. There's no distinction between the crimes. In some cases, if I'm in prison for committing credit card fraud, they might throw me in there with the mass murderers, you know. And there's nothing really being done on a big scale to actually improve people. A lot of people come out worse off. So then when you get out, you got a felony, and there's nobody who's there to actually employ you. So that goes back to us building our own institutions, our own companies, establishing our own, so that way we won't have to look to other people to give us no job. We can have some place for those brothers and those sisters to go when they come out of prison.
That makes sense to me, man. Do you feel that it's important that actors, entertainers, or anybody you know in the entertainment business to, especially black, to stand up for, let's say, black issues or issues that relate to our people, man?
Absolutely. You know, the old saying is, to whom much is given, much is required. So if you have been blessed to reach a certain level of what they call success, a certain level of money, then, and you come from that reality, you come from the hood, and even if you don't, then you absolutely have a responsibility, because it's up to you to try to create institutions and create situations that will prevent those coming up behind you from going down some of those wrong roads. So yeah, you gotta, whether they want to accept it or not, yeah, they got a responsibility.
And do you, what you think about like Kaepernick? Like I know a lot of them, like people might say, yo, if I stand up, I fear the reprisal or the response or the rebuke for standing up. What you think about that situation like that?
That's our problem. We can't be scared. Look, if Rosa Parks was scared if she would have just gave up her seat and not said anything, then Negroes would still be riding on the back of the bus today or whatever. If people like Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm and Martin and these individuals were scared to step outside of that box and challenge the so-called powers to their face and the institutions of governments, then the progress that we have made wouldn't have been made. So if you have people, you have $1 million, Mr. Farrakhan called them $1 million slaves. If you have $1 million athletes who are afraid, like when Jerry Jones said, if any of my players stand up, they're not gonna play. Man, I just wish I was on the team, because you had to call his bluff. If Dez Bryant, Dak Prescott, and Ezekiel Elliott say, well, we not standing for the national. These are three biggest names on the team. What is he gonna do then? See, we have to recognize our own power and exercise that power without the fear of consequence from the slave master who pays you millions while he makes billions. See? So we can't be scared to stand up for a cause that's what? Bigger than you. This cause is bigger than you. So that's why Kaepernick gets props from the people in the black community who really understand, because he took a sacrifice. He's the modern day Ali in that regard, that he sacrificed and lost it all for a bigger cause.
Real talk.
We got all things like that.
Real talk. Do you consider, would you say that rappers are role models, or is that a responsibility that they should take, or how would you look at that?
Everybody,
Due to their influence, because they can influence millions with
Right.
music and whatnot. So, do they fall into a role model type role?
everybody is a role model. It's just about what kind of role model you are. You have positive role models, and you have negative role models. So people always, you think the word role model is just a good thing.
That's positive.
Nah, you can be a negative role model. So it just depends on which side of the street you decide you want to walk down. If you can look and say, you know what, man, I made some mistakes, I did this, I seen this, now I'm in a better position, I'm gonna be a better example. And even if it's individuals who may not be perfect in their private life, but they decide to say, I won't show that side of myself. I'm not gonna be all on the boat, smoking weed and throwing money in there and popping bottles and pouring drink on strippers and in public. Do it on your own time. So just be a positive role model, so that way the youngsters coming up can't look at you and say, well, hey, he did it, she did it, my favorite rapper did it, my favorite basketball player did it, because regardless of what we want to think, especially as musicians and artists, people are influenced by what we say. Why did everybody start smoking weed in 1991, 92? Because the Chronic came out, and it's like, it's not to condemn nobody, it's just to say that that's the factual thing what happened. Like, it was made popular. Why did everybody want to wear Raider gear and be gangsters when NWA came out? The music was so dope that it influenced the culture. And so we can do the same thing from a pot. Same with Public Enemy. It wasn't always the negative side. It was like Public Enemy had all of us wearing African medallions and having that pride. So it's just about what side you choose.
Man, I checked out, I listened to the song, man, I Need a Moment, American Hero, and I want to ask you, what is your views on community-based policing? Seeing that, KKK cops are using deadly force against unarmed African Americans, man. What you feel about that?
Well, I mean, it goes again, man. We've always been trying to put in to get more black cops policing black neighborhoods. That's the biggest problem as it stands right now, because if you ride through South Park or Fifth Ward or Third Ward or any of the predominantly black neighborhoods, most likely it's going to be a white police officer that pulls you over, or most likely you see a group of police officers tending to a situation, it's going to be predominantly white. So if a white police officer pulls over a black driver or even a black pedestrian, then they can't relate to us in our language, they can't relate to us in our mannerisms. So the slightest thing we say, they view it as a threat. They view it as something.
Or they act like pretextual threat.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So, but flip the script and say, if this is a black police officer who came up in the same culture, the same way we came, he gonna understand when I say, man, what's up, man? What you putting me on? What's the deal? He's not gonna be so quick to flip out. At least he shouldn't be. You got some house niggas too, But the point is that we are more relatable with those who look like us. It's just a fact. So in that regard, it should be more black officers policing the black neighborhoods. But if they're not gonna do it like that, then we got to do what Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. We got to separate. We got to get away from them. Let them have what they have, and we can go somewhere else and do what we do the way we do it, and there will be peace, because we haven't been able to live in peace together. So if we haven't been able to live in peace together, then what's wrong with us going off somewhere to ourselves and doing our own thing? It should work for both sides.
Man, how did you come up with that hit, man, administrative leave, right? How you come with that?
The climate, it was just the social climate. All these black people, unarmed black people getting killed by police officers, man, and it just had to be written. And my main point of that song was to mention the names of the officers that had killed a lot of honor, because everybody knows his name. Everybody knows Mike Brown. Everybody knows Eric Garner. Everybody knows Walter Scott. We know those names, but we don't know the names of the police officers that killed him. And that's who need to be on blast. If the killer of Walter Scott walked in this door right now, none of us would even know who he is.
Right.
See, so that's the whole point. We give them a pass based on the fact that, you know, a lot of times we caught up in our own grief and our own anger and emotions about what happened. But look, when one of us commit a crime, if a black guy goes in there and robs a bank, they gonna plaster his face all over the news. They gonna blast. They gonna know that this guy did this. We gotta do the same thing with them because they murderers straight up.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, I was blown away when I listened to that Work More Dead. Man.
Yeah.
You went hard on that one, bro. You went in on Work More Dead. I heard the song, but for those who may have not heard, I suggest you go get it and peep it. But what inspired that, and how do you come up with that concept?
I came with that when Prince died, you know, because, you know, Michael Jackson died in 2009, and then Whitney was gone in 2011, and then Prince died, what's that, 2016? So in my mind, I'm like, man, just to me, it's not no coincidence that all of these black iconic artists are mysteriously dying. And once they die, the first thing that happens is the next day the sales just go through the roof. Yeah. And who's making that money? You know, the labels who still own those masters, they're making that money. Prince was a different animal because he understood the industry and he was challenging the industry, and he was telling artists, hey man, be in control of your master recordings, be in control, own your own stuff. And he was educating the game, and that was the biggest threat to the industry, to those Jewish run record labels. So you worth more dead. They're gonna get rid of you. So now we ain't gotta hear your mouth, but we can still benefit and make money off your music, because Prince got a vault of music with 2,000 songs in it. And eventually that stuff gonna come out, and it's not gonna be his family that make the money off of it. It's gonna be some record label that make that money, plain and simple.
Low down. Check this out, man. I heard the song, dig it. You paid a lot of homage to Wicked Cricket. Keep your name alive.
Yeah.
How did Wicked Cricket impact you, man, and what kind of influence he left with you, bro?
Oh man, you know, we're gonna get into that tonight on the show too. But I mean, he was one of the first, I call Wicked Cricket the first Houston rap celebrity. He was the first well-known rapper in the city of Houston, and everybody, when you went somewhere, it's like, man, that's Wicked Cricket. Everybody knew who he was, and just to hear him, to see him step on the scene, all his gold chains and rings, he just had that image, that whole aura about himself, and he was always cool and real with everybody. He was never above, and he never placed himself above nobody. He always was among the people, all the way from the beginning to the end. And he just taught everybody so much about how to carry themselves as artists, how to perform, and just networking. You know, he was just all over the place. So anybody who come from that era that had been around him on multiple occasions, even now, coming up on 2 years after him passing away, a lot of them principles are still in us, to where I can, if I'm doing something, he always pops in my head, like, you know, I'm doing some Wicked Cricket stuff right now, because he's instilled that in all of us, you know.
I feel you. Man, I checked out, man, the song American Hero. This is the last one, American Hero. What can we do to re-educate our kids, man?
Get them out the killing fields, get them out them schools, teach them ourselves, teach them the real history, because we've taken white curriculum and educating our children instead of teaching them the real history. We got to get them out of public schools, teach our children ourselves, because all of us, we learned more since we got out of school in the whole time that we was in school. Speaking for myself, one love.
Got K Rino in the building. He took his time, man, to chop it up with us, man. Thank you for
Good time, man.
When alone came
sunny day.
We brought the rain. We brought the rain down that thing.
Came out to play. You know what I'm talking
That
about?
was, look, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna mess your head up. That was 31 years ago,
Man.
1987. 31
Ooh.
years ago. Me and him.
Now y'all brothers. Now y'all brothers.
This was before Smack, before all the King of the Dot and all that. 31 years ago. Thank you,
Man,
thank you, Sister Brenda.
the best
My
at
homie.
Sterling. I was the best at Jones at the particular time. And we just had the class, man. And it was just a sunny day. Just to make a long story short, man, it was a sunny day. There was no sights of rain. You know, so when we met, I think the friction that we caused from the ground to the atmospheric, you know, peninsula, you know, caused it looked up, it started raining.
Wow.
When it rained, the score was 7-7 at the time.
We was out there so long.
We was out there.
How many hours y'all was out there, man?
I can't remember, but it was dark.
You know, we went from the day to the dark, man.
What?
And look, and everybody was like, man, I don't know, man. Y'all need to go another one, man. I don't know. So we went another. We went another. So we went another. I mean, and he was there.
Always there.
Murray, you was in the building with it.
Don King, the King of the operation.
Hey, how long you say that battle lasted?
Too long.
Too long?
As long as they stayed in school.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Man.
One of the realest things that ever happened, you know. And that's when I was first creating horrorcore. I didn't even know it was going to be called horrorcore. I called it psycho rap. I didn't call it horrorcore. The industry called it horrorcore.
Man.
You know, I called it psycho rap. So when they got a hold to it, then, you know, that was on them.
You was the first one, brother. Everybody who adopted that style or culture vultured that style stole it from you, man. Straight up.
I'm already know, but they can't do it still today better than me. That's why they won't come get me to be on the songs with them. Because they know. You heard? See, it's in me. I don't have to go to the studio to switch my voice.
Yeah.
Because I can change it anytime I want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or I put it in me.
Yeah, that was your thing,
So,
man.
it is what it is, Ken Folk.
Yeah, you patent
know
that.
what it is. New album, The Creator of Horrorcore, coming out end of February 2018. That's what it is. Peace.